Ravens Titans playoff wildcard. Going through what y'all need to know to make some money on this bitch. So big rematch. Obviously, I think we all know if you're watching this video what happened the last time Titans played the Ravens, and I think it's gonna be a little bit different this one. I'll get into why though. Stick around, tell you that's how and why that's how it go down. So first, weather not a concern like at all. From all the weather, it seems like it's not even gonna be that cold. No like rain, nothing like that. So injury wise, Patrick McCarry, DJ Fluker, Willie Snead, all listed as questionable. Um, we'll see. They kind of rotated at each of those spots anyway, so I'm not sure how important that stuff is, but you know. And then nothing on the Titans. So first we have the run game, and I'm gonna get pretty deep on this one because this is a dominant advantage for the Ravens. So Titans run defense garbage, right? So I'll go through it step by step, but first you got offensive line: Orlando Brown, Bradley Bozeman, Patrick McGarry, or Matt Skura, or maybe Tristan Colon Castillo. I didn't actually put up here, but he started week 17. He wasn't awful, actually he was decent, but I mean he was playing, Bengals practice squad guys, but Ben Powers, and then Tyree Phillips or DJ Fluker at tackle. So yeah, and then for the Titans, Jeffrey Simmons, Daquan Jones, and third defensive tackle Jack Crawford, Tier Tart, Earl Murchison. We'll see. Yeah, they're gonna kill them. So Titans, right? They have two notable players. They have Daquan Jones, who is a really, really stereotypical fat nose tackle. Doesn't like get in the backfield, and make plays. Doesn't get pushed around too much though. And they have Jeffrey Simmons. Jeffrey Simmons is legit. Big fan of Jeffrey Simmons for sure. Problem you run into here is that he is not a single-handedly dominant force the way you need to be against the Ravens, given what's around him. Because even if this was like Aaron Donald, I would still be super worried about it, right? Or for run defense, maybe more Chris Jones. Regardless, and he's like Chris Jones, like 2.0, I don't know, whatever, a level below that, but a really similar player. So what you get into here is these guards. So people kind of, because they don't know their names and it's not Marshall Yanda, have kind of roasted them through the year. But Bradley Bozeman and Ben Powers, since they've been playing, have both been like good. And frankly, Tyree Phillips, the tackle too, he struggled like his first game, so everybody kind of wrote him off. But he's also, I'm not gonna go quite so far with good, but he's like more than reasonable. A lot of teams would be happy to have him. So on the interior, you're talking about not a whole lot of necessary like push like movement off the line of scrimmage, but it's not nothing, and they're not going to get shoved back like at all. Is probably the more important part here. And frankly, even this other spot, whoever plays the other interior spot for the Titans, it will get pushed off the line of scrimmage because all those guys, Earl Murchison's really bad, Jack Crawford's pretty bad, and Tier Tart actually likes a penetrator, and I think he could be useful in this game, but he's a seventh or undrafted rookie who barely plays, right? So they should play him, but I don't think they will. And that spot's a real issue. So then you talk about the second level, right? Or, well, the second level and the edges. So the Titans, so they theoretically run like a 3-4, but they do a lot of different looks at the line of scrimmage. A lot of it, what it ends up being is these two in the middle, Jack Crawford pushed out to an edge, and then Harold Landry walked up to the line of scrimmage. That is not good. Harold Landry is a really, really weak player in the run game. Now, he can penetrate some. I would compare him to like a Jerry Hughes or someone like that, or Carl Lawson, where he can get in the backfield sometimes. But like as a point of attack defender, he's not very good. Now he's better than those guys. I don't want to roast him too much, but that's an issue. And then their other spot, yeah, whether it's Crawford, whether it's any of these outside linebackers they've been trying out, Derek Roberson I think is the best, but we'll see. Wyatt Ray, Brooks Reed, Tuzar Skipper, none of them have what it takes to be able to keep up in this game with the Ravens scheme, and that's going to get really ugly. And on the second level, like, listen, Rashaan Evans I like, but he has a little bit of a problem sideline to sideline with his range. And without Jayon Brown, their other good linebacker who's been on IR for forever now, you talk about David Long. That is a horrible problem for the Titans. David Long has looked okay in some games because he is really, really, really quick to trigger into holes, right? So he reads and reacts pretty much instantly and goes fucking full speed straight at the line of scrimmage to wherever he thinks the ball's going. Now, that can be good against some teams, and frankly, in this game, it'll be good a couple times, right? I'm sure the announcers will talk him up after he makes one play in the backfield because he does that, but it's going to lead to so many issues given how the Ravens run the ball and all the misdirection they do and the read option stuff with Lamar. I really think, and that's why I put Will Compton up here, I think there's a chance he gets benched because he's going to be the cause of a lot of big runs for the Ravens. And then past that, I like Kevin Byard and Kenny Vaccaro, but they're not good enough in run support to make up for the problems all the way up, but all the way between them and Jeffrey Simmons. So overall, yeah, the Ravens are going to be really pretty much dominant. So then you talk about the pass game. Now there, the Titans do have hope. So pass rush wise, Jeffrey Simmons can beat all the Ravens interior guys. Even though I talked them up a little bit, Jeffrey Simmons is definitely better than them as a pass rusher. Now he's not a dominant force. He's not Aaron Donald. And that's kind of what you have to be to notably impact the game from that position by yourself. But he is something. But other than him, it's garbage. These other interior guys are literal zeros. And on the edges, Harold Landry might be able to flash as a true speed rusher because that is what gives Orlando Brown and Tyree Phillips problems. But they need him to do a lot of other things, and he's also just not that good at it. He's okay, but he's not special. So you're talking about one kind of mediocre source of pressure. As far as the receivers go, that's a lot better for the Titans. Ravens receivers, none of them are very good. They're okay. Willie Snead, Des Bryant, shockingly, Hollywood Brown are okay. But the Titans corners are actually better. Malcolm Butler, they got Adoree Jackson back. Desmond King in the slot. Christian Fulton, the rookie out of LSU, if he plays. They can limit them. The problem with that against the Ravens is the Ravens just don't run offense through their receivers in any meaningful way. So limiting them the way that they do here doesn't actually help all that much. Because when they do, play action rollout stuff and these long developing plays, the Titans corners aren't, it's not 6 Jalen Ramseys. They're not shutting them down over the course of 6 seconds. So their impact is really limited. And as far as Mark Andrews goes, the Titans really like a middle of the field defender to keep up with him. Kevin Byard can do it a little bit, but he's better as a deep free safety, a lot better. And if they have him covering Mark Andrews, then you get into Kenny Vaccaro playing back, or Amani Hooker, who I forgot to put up here. He's actually okay, but you run into a lot of problems. So you just really run out of players to cover the meaningful parts of the Ravens offense. So I have them at 28 to 35 points because and that's frankly on the lower end. The only way that goes lower, and this is something that I want to talk about real quick, is that if the Ravens get behind, they will run into the same issue they had when they played the Titans the last time. Because they don't do a lot of drop back passing, right? But if you turn the way they run offense into a drop back passing game, then all of a sudden the advantages that I talked about for the Titans with how their corners are better than the receivers and Jeffrey Simmons as a rusher do matter a whole lot because Lamar Jackson's still not great from a clean pocket. He's better than people give him credit for, and he's better than average across the league. But the problem is if you're not in the top 5 in that category, or roughly in the top 5 in that category in the NFL, then you're just not that good, anyway, compared good enough to drive the ball up and down the field the way people expect. So that is the one caveat I will say, but I don't think that's really possible because the Titans just completely lack the personnel for that. But on the other side of the ball, the Titans offense, big old scary Titans offense, at least this year. And don't take that wrong way. I actually do think the Titans are pretty good. But similar to how in my Colts preview I talked about, that was a really bad matchup with the better team Bills versus the worst team Colts and how that made it close. Well, this goes the other way around. This is a better team with a good matchup, being the Ravens versus Titans. So, yeah, the Titans offense. So injury-wise, nothing relevant for the Titans. For the Ravens, Yannick Ngakoue, Marlon Humphrey, Jimmy Smith, all questionable. I'm gonna go ahead and assume they all play. All 3 of them do matter. The drop off between them and the next players in the Ravens depth charts is fairly well, except for Jan. It is notable, but even if they're out, I think the Ravens are going to be just fine. So first, you got the run game. Offensive line, David Quessenberry, Roger Saffold, Ben Jones, Nate Davis, Dennis Kelly. Front, Derek Wolfe, Brandon Williams, Calais Campbell, and a whole bunch of rotational guys for the Ravens. And this is bad. This is bad for the Titans. So they can run the ball well in a lot of scenarios. This very likely is not one of them. Now, because even the last time, so these two teams they played earlier in the regular season, and Titans didn't run the ball great there either. So Derrick Henry ended up with like 133 yards, but it was over like 30 attempts, and there was a couple kind of goofy long ones that really exaggerated that total. So here, yeah, the guards are really big problems. Roger Saffold and Nate Davis both can get like beat quickly off the line of scrimmage fairly consistently. Roger Saffold is good at a lot of things, but he's a lot better in pass protection than he is as a run blocker. And Nate Davis is better than he was when he was like one of the worst guards in the NFL last year, but he still is not exactly good. And the Ravens now have a fully healthy or approaching fully healthy Calais Campbell, who is a dominant force on the interior, and Derek Wolfe, who's a legitimately good run defender and the best nose tackle in the NFL, or second Kenny Clark, whatever second or third, Brandon Williams. All three of those guys are significant advantages. I like Ben Jones at center for the Titans a whole lot. I think he's really good, but he's not going to be able to generate push off the line of scrimmage here. In fact, he's going to get like pushed back just because of how good and strong Brandon Williams is. So that's a big problem. Now, their rotational guys, not quite as much of an issue, but even then, those guards, I'm telling you, they're vulnerable. So then at the edges, now that the Titans are on their like third string tackles, right? Dennis Kelly's good. And David Questenberry's actually been okay since he started playing, but the last time these guys played, when they in the playoffs, they had Taylor Lewan and Jack Conklin, who were both like outstanding. Now, not so much. Dennis Kelly just okay. David Questenberry, The Ravens' edge defenders, though, I will say, not crazy. Matt Judon, Yannick Ngakoue, Pernell McPhee, Tyus Bowser, Jalen Ferguson. None of them are really spooky, but as run defenders, at least, they're going to be fine. Matthew Judon especially is going to be able to be disciplined and hold the point of attack. Pernell McPhee, frankly, is actually reasonable at that too, so I'm not like super worried about it. If there's a place to attack, though, for the Titans, it is that, but that's not like a huge advantage given the state of their tackles. So at the second level, Ravens linebackers, not great. But here they're probably going to be okay. Patrick Queen still has a bunch of issues, kind of like I talked about David Long on the other side of the ball with triggering just wrong. But he at least makes up for it with like athleticism, and he doesn't do it wrong nearly as much. And he actually is a useful player in this game because what you need to stop Derrick Henry, right? You need to hit him in the backfield, which sounds like cliche, but that's really is what's required. And it's why, like when they played the Colts, I said that they were going to be able to run the ball despite the Colts' run defense, and they could. It's because the Colts suck at hitting players in the backfield, or at least they did, given the health of them when they played that week. So here, the Ravens do not suck at that. They're actually very good at it. Patrick Queen's ability to just charge in the backfield helps, and their other linebacker, whether it's LJ Ford, Chris Board, are going to be disciplined enough to fill and can fill gaps well and can do the cleanup stuff. And they're just a good overall disciplined defense. So Titans not really going to be able to run the ball. Now, I will give Derrick Henry credit. He's really good, and their scheme is okay. Their ability, the weakness of the Ravens' edges at times, combined with the ability Derrick Henry can create for a couple long runs. I wouldn't be surprised at all if Derrick Henry had a really long touchdown run this game. I don't think it's likely. Obviously, it's not likely in any given game, but that is the one chance. But like on a down-to-down basis or trying to keep a lead, they're not going to be able to do it. So then you talk about the pass game, and again, there's a bunch of issues. A.J. Brown is injured. He's going to play in this game, but he's coming off an injury. So you have him and Corey Davis, and that matchup, they match up terrible with the Ravens corners. Marcus Peters, Marlon Humphrey, Jimmy Smith. I mean, they're just not going to be able to get open. I'll give A.J. Brown credit again. I think he's outstanding, and he just has a baseline of being able to get open, but he's, I was going to say similar to DK Metcalf. That's not really true at all. He can be limited by smaller good corners like Marcus Peters. Marcus Peters will be in his pocket at all times. Now he's going to be able to throw him off a few times. Yeah, for sure. But he's going to get limited. And even at the catch point, these guys are good. And Marlon Humphrey is seemingly better than him. And then Corey Davis just struggles with separation a lot in general. He's just a mediocre guy, and he cannot separate from these guys. Even Jimmy Smith, if you put him on here. Now, Corey Davis also has a baseline use of being able to work through schemed space, and he has really, really strong hands, which helps for sure, but neither of them present like driving options. And then when you talk about what's really important in the Titans offense, which is the middle of the field, it's not so great there either. Jonnu Smith, Anthony Firkser, Jeff Swain, a huge fan of Anthony Firkser. He has a chance to get open a lot in this game just because he can generally do that anyway, but Is he like crazy? Is he Travis Kelce? No, which probably what they need here. Jonnu Smith struggles to separate by himself, and while the Ravens do lack like a good man coverage guy in the middle of the field, A, I wouldn't be surprised if they put corners on him because they understand how to play defense against the Titans, and B, it's not like they're awful. Chuck Clark, Sean Elliott are okay safeties. Patrick Queen has shown he at least has the athleticism to keep up with like Johnny Smith, which is what you need in that matchup. So what they depend on, these middle of the field openings, don't exist that much. Now they're not nothing, again, but it's not good. So then you get to the quarterback Tannehill. I have a lot of respect for Tannehill. I think he's really good, but it's just a bad matchup. You have a really unclean pocket, throwing to not a lot of openings at receiver. Now there's some chances downfield. Yeah, their scheme is pretty good as a passing offense. Yeah, and I'll give them credit, and that's why I have them getting to 10 to 17 points. But frankly, that's being generous because there are a ton of issues, and then you combine that with their defense not being able to stop the run for anything, right? So they're not going to have a lot of time possession. They're not going to have a lot of chances to touch the ball. It's just there's a whole lot of negatives, and the only positives being, well, basically, if AJ Brown can break 6 tackles and Derrick Henry can break 6 tackles, and they can each do it 5 times in the game. Super unlikely. In fact, it's not going to happen. So the spread, Ravens 3.5 point favorites, super strong on that. I think the Ravens are going to win by 15 to 20 plus. This again, I don't think the Titans are that bad. I prefer them to some of the other teams in the AFC playoffs, but this matchup, garbage given their current state of health and their personnel. So yeah, I would expect a blowout in the Ravens' favor. So Ravens minus 3.5, super strong. Ravens win, super strong. I think the under is okay. So it's set at 54.5. That's just really high. And given the Ravens' length of possession, I think that could go under as well as the Titans' offensive shortcomings in this game. But could the Ravens cover that by themselves? Yeah, so you got to be careful with that. I do think it's bettable, though, at such a high number. So, yeah, Ravens, I mean, listen, they're going to win the game unless there's a whole bunch of dumb shit like whatever kick return touchdown, all that shit happens in the same, and the Titans need multiple of that. This matchup is just really, really awful. So yeah, Ravens moving on.